Day 3, I can't believe it. It's our grand finale. It's the final day of our 3-day masterclass, Bloom Authentically and Thrive Financially. Thank you to everyone who's here. Cameras on if you can, because I can see you and it's super exciting. It feels way more interactive when I can actually see your face than when I can just see screens. So thank you to everyone who has their camera on. I really appreciate it. Hi to Facebook. I see you guys over there and I've been seeing the interactions and everything that's happening over there. So appreciate you guys as well being here. So day 3, this is the day when we bring everything together. So I want to just really take a second to just really talk about what we're going to be doing today, but also looking at what we've been doing the last couple of days. So yesterday we were breaking down consciousness, getting you guys to really understand, well, how does your mind work in more detail than you've known before? Getting you to realize that that's the centerpiece of everything else that's happening in your life. To understand the power that you have within to create whatever it is that you want on the outside, and looking at integration with your habits, looking at that intergenerational piece, what's happened, what's been passed down from generation to generation. And then really looking at our personality dynamics, a deeper dive into the science and principles of what it takes to thrive financially and bloom authentically. We did our Q&A. Did you enjoy the Q&A last night? For those of you who are there, can you chat you comment in the chat box and just tell me, did you enjoy it? Did you get your question answered? What did you take away? Like, just let me know how you got on. And the same over on Facebook as well. If you're listening back to the playback, just know that I'm just as interested to hear how you guys are getting on, and any questions or pieces that you've taken away will be really, really great. So let me just see what you guys are saying. Yeah, it was really informative and uplifting. Great, Zoe, thanks for that. It was just really great to get your questions through. So I have to say it's a two-way street when it comes to Q&A. I'm useless if no one asks anything, but at the same time, I thought, wow, the quality of questions I got through and the quantity was probably the best and most we've ever had in a Q&A like this before. So well done to everybody. Loved the Q&A, loved all the questions, and your answers so insightful. Yeah, okay, Vicky, yeah, great, well done. I'm delighted that was helpful. Super insightful. So many questions resonate with me. Wonderful. That's so good. And that's the thing when you ask questions, what you learn, the power of getting together with a group of people that think like-minded, is that often you don't even need to come up with the questions yourself. You just need to show up and someone else asks a question that's really relevant. You're like, God, I really get that. That really helps. So well done for being there. And thank you for supporting people through that. Really, really great. So yesterday we looked at the habits, beliefs, really about what's happening for you around money. And again, this is a theme that's like consistently throughout the 3 days, is that we have to start doing things differently in order to change the internal relationship that you have with money, but also the external relationship. The results that you're getting is always a direct reflection of what's going on inside of you. So how are we shifting, and how are we actually being the version of us that we want to be? So I got you guys last night to examine and really look at, where did these habits and beliefs come from? Where did you first hear of them? Where were you first exposed to them? And sometimes we can think about that, and sometimes it's not really so crystal clear. But this exploration starts to get you thinking that a lot of the way that you are isn't by choice, it's by default. It's from the way you've always been. But what I can tell you now is, for you to get to where you want to be, it's really about starting to decide and be that version, but also realizing that that's going to take doing things differently. So that was really an exploration, and, you know, would not having these beliefs and habits serve you moving forward? So what I want you to really be thinking about as we go through today is, what is the possibility? What does this open up when you start thinking about really taking your evolution of your relationship internally and understanding financially what that even means for you, where you actually want to go, and evolving yourself to the next level in that space? Okay. So today, the grand finale. It's so funny, putting together 3 days for you guys it's been wonderful, but it's been really great to be able to do it from the point of view of, 1 being the exploration of what you want, 2 being the internal exploration of what's actually currently going on. And so today we're really talking about the how. How do we now move into the execution of these ideas? How do we bring all this alive? How do we make this not just a 3 days that you attended that got you inspired or motivated, but actually was a turning point, and from this point onwards life changed? That's really what we're talking about today. So that, I suppose it's a really exciting day, because for a lot of you, you love the logic and you love the how and you love the understanding of that side. So it's great that you're here to hear all this. So again, an opportunity to clear your mind. Just give yourself the 3 seconds. What's going through your mind? What can you benefit from getting out of your mind onto paper, and just follow through with that exercise. So give yourself a second with a piece of paper and a pen, just to write whatever is going through your mind. It might be at the back of your journal. Just give yourself a second. So I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to do that. Wonderful. Again, ground into being present right now. Whatever is going to happen after this and whatever's come before it is totally irrelevant, as long as you can try and stay present in this moment within your body. Like really checking in with, you know, how am I feeling? Am I grounded right now? And am I listening? And am I opening up to hearing something that can change my life forever? You know, it's not massive changes. People often think sometimes it's like these huge, gigantic things that they've never understood or never seen before that changes things, but it's in the subtleties. And that's what I really encourage you guys to be looking for today, the subtleties of the evolution. Okay, so ground yourself and be here with us. Giving yourself permission, again, another few seconds. Maybe there's a next layer of permission that you need today. Maybe it's honoring your intuition to its core. Maybe it's trusting yourself, knowing that maybe there's like a bit of doubt at the back of your mind, or maybe there's a person that might have an opinion about decisions that you make, but you're saying, not anymore. I want to be true to who I am, and I want this to be my guiding force. Whatever permission it is that you need right now, give it to yourself. Maybe you want to give yourself permission to just be kinder to yourself today, to give yourself the chance to breathe and just to take it in rather than feeling like you have to take every note down. You know, it's really funny. The first time I ever went to Canada, which is a long time ago now, maybe 6 years ago now, I met Bob Proctor for the first time, and I'd seen him in The Secret, and I'd worked with him like over Zoom for quite a while. I'd seen him on screens and things like that. And the first time I ever saw him, I remember just being kind of totally starstruck. I was like lost for words. And it was funny because it was like about 40 of us at the time. And when we went into the room, everyone was kind of like going to say hi. And I was just like, oh my God. And I just went and sat down. But I was sitting at the very front of the room. And when he was presenting and talking, I was like pen to paper, and I was writing everything he was saying down. I was like, I just want to learn. Like, I want to consume this because I know it had changed my life so much, what I had learned from him, that I was like, I want to be able to like really absorb this time that I'm here. And I was like writing everything. And I didn't know at the time that actually the whole session was being recorded. And I since saw the playback, and you can't even see my face. All you can see is like the top of my head, because I was just sitting with my head down, writing every single note down. And it's funny because I really sit with these things, and I think to myself, like, how habitual are we? And like, I love taking notes. I love writing in general, but I just love taking notes on things like this. But it just made me laugh because I was like, how much of that have I gone back and read? How much of that have I really listened to? And I remember at one point talking to someone about like a really astute, like well achieved human being. And I remember saying, like, what's your take on taking notes? And they said to me, take note, not notes. And that gave me a beautiful shift in the way I approach these things, which is like, I sit back and I'm like feeling into it and being like present in this moment. And then if something jumps out, I'm like, oh, that's a nice note to take, rather than try to consume it all, right? So there's a beauty in your evolution with every part of you. But just for those of you who may need that today, maybe there's a groundedness in trusting that your mind's going to hear exactly what you need and take it in, rather than having to write everything down. In saying that, I love taking notes. I still do it from time to time. I still do take a lot of notes when it comes to learning. So there's no right or wrong. It's just being open to the evaluation of our habits, right? Yes, I did get to change It's funny, I had the most amazing opportunity to work with some of you in particular. Natasha, that's here, has just mentioned we went through a program earlier this year, and it completely challenged her everything when it came to notes. So thank you, Natasha. Yes, you did so well. You did so well. And here we are. I think today I will feed your desire for logic and processes. So it's good. I like to do that too. You know, I think that we can be multifaceted. So it's nice to feed every part, hey? So the information that you're going to gather here over the last 3 days, it's been cumulative. So if you're here and it's your first time attending, or if you're on Facebook and it's your first time watching us, it's really beneficial to go back and watch the other 2 days. But just knowing that every day is building from one brick to the next, okay? And the aim is to expand your awareness. My aim is to help you see things. They've always been there, but just to shine a light on things that have been in the dark for you, okay? Get you thinking and to offer a solution for those who have decided to do this. On the first day, I really talked to you guys about having a committed decision. And I remember it so well, because I remember being like, who's committed to change? And you guys were like, me. And it was flashing up in the chat. And I'm like, sweet, these are my vibes. These are my tribe. Let's go. Because once you get into that committed decision of like, that's it, like I'm doing this, I'm changing, then the sky's the limit. And I can really show you what's possible. It's interesting as time goes on, because people start thinking, oh, they're going to start offering me something or going to sell me something and I have to make a decision. And absolutely, yes, that's the case. There is going to be something that you can avail of, but you have to really sit with it. Why does that change your I'm in, right? Or maybe it doesn't, maybe it fuels you even more. But for those of you who are like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm ready to go, today is your day. But anyway, that will be in a few minutes. That's not quite yet. So this is what we want to take a moment to really take a snapshot of, okay? How much money do you want to earn? This is reflecting back to day one. How much do you want to earn? Has that expanded over these 3 days? Maybe it's bigger, maybe it's more, you've got more clarity, maybe you're more grounded in it. So maybe initially you felt like, oh, it's crazy to think about earning, 6 figures in a month. But now I feel like, actually, hold on, when I went to spend it, that's not a lot of money. Like if I want to help that charity and I want to be able to help my family do this and I want to be able to pay the mortgage off and I want to be able to, maybe I run out of money pretty quickly. So maybe it's actually expanding, but also grounding into the realness of this, the realness of the potential of what this can bring for you. How different would this make in your life? What changes would happen? And also realizing the difference between just going after money, but going after money and not after it, but attracting it in a way that's aligned to your values, that helps you bloom authentically, living directed by that internal compass. How would that change your life? So living by this internal compass, staying in your integrity, aligned with your values, and changing that intergenerational paradigm, so that not only are you changing your life, but you're not letting history repeat itself, and you're changing it for the generations that are next to come. And that doesn't just depend on if you're going to become a parent or if you are a parent. It's also as an auntie, as a friend, as a person in society. There's a ripple effect. It doesn't matter who you're in contact with, that this information has when you really hone in on what it is that we're doing. And how you commit to making this happen. This is a thing that is going to start happening for you. We touched on it yesterday. When we go to make one of those decisions, no, it's actually not yesterday, it's today. That's so funny. It's yet to come. So I won't ruin it. Let's get into it. So we're exploring today 2 set principles. So everything that I've shared with you guys over the last 3 days is based on fundamentals, research-based evidence, looking at people who are living this way authentically in their power and also thriving financially. So there's certain key things. So there's 2 areas, 2 sides of the coin. One of them is going to feed those of you who love logic, who love processes, who love the how, and the other one's going to feed those of you who are spiritually driven, who like to be more grounded into the intuitive direction and flow when it comes to your evolution. Okay, so let's get into it. So these are the 2 ways I'm going to explain to you. So really stay with me now. If you've kind of drifted off or you're making yourself a cup of tea, come back, because this is something that's really powerful that I'm going to share with you. There's 2 different sides of the coin. There's a logical understanding, and this is helpful because understanding helps your mind to just accept ideas. Now, I made a decision a long time ago when I work with a mentor or a coach that I accept the ideas that they tell me unless I can prove that it's wrong, right? And I don't go about trying to prove myself that it's wrong, because I know that when the truth resonates with me, okay? So when we come to this logical understanding, it's going to feed the part of your mind that likes solutions, right? Then there's a spiritual evolution, which is more to do with your inner compass having this evolution, having this internal direction that's going on, okay? And everything, all results are always a direct reflection of what's going on inside of you. Even the logical understanding, like strategy, going back to day one, strategy is important when it comes to success. The how, the next step by step, it's all part of it. It's really, really important. It's why I'm including this in today. But it's about 5% of why you'll be successful. All of you can learn how many of you are actually going to do it, right? So I'm here to show you the how, but also to support you in your evolution so you actually execute it. So let's get into understanding this more. The one certainty to flourish financially, and this is the logical part, is that all people that have financial freedom have multiple sources of income. This is also sometimes related to as MSIs. So what this means is that you have money coming from many different areas into your bank account. You won't get to the place of real financial freedom by only having your income coming from one place. It doesn't matter what you do or what job you're in. You know, the most you're probably going to be able to earn is maybe 500K in an employed situation, right? But you can have that going on, and I also have other ways, other passive incomes, other like a business and investment, different things that you have going on. But it's really important for us to open up to this idea, because back before I ever got involved in business, by the way, I never had any business advice. I don't come from a family of anyone who has a business. It was totally new to me, total foreign concept. I didn't understand. I never really heard this idea of having money coming from other places. I was like, you go to university, you get a degree, you go get a job, and that's how you earn money. Step by step. You go and then you climb the ladder. You work, you expand, you often work harder, you go into more senior roles, become a manager, maybe become a director, maybe become a CEO, and your income increases. But how far? It doesn't matter how far it goes, but how far does that go? Let's say it goes to 500K. It's still limited. $500,000 isn't a lot of money when you get into actually what you actually want to do. So the logic of this is to understand that you have to start opening up your ideas to realizing that money needs to come from other ways. Now, the how in which that looks is very individualized, and that's what I help people when it comes to the next phase of this. But I just wanted to explain to you guys this part of the process today, because if you start opening up to the idea of having multiple sources of income, the sky's the limit. Imagine how it would feel if you're going to sleep at nighttime, because this happens in my life, but in a lot of people's lives that I know, where you go to sleep at nighttime and you wake up in the morning and there's more money just put into your bank account. You've got people or services or products that are fueling you and bringing you money from across the world. Why limit it to the country that you live in, or the state that you live in, or the county that you live in, the people that you know in your direct circle? What if you can earn money from people you don't even know, that you've never met? And remembering what is money? Where does it come from? It's based on the three principles that I mentioned on day one: the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Okay, so are you open to this idea? Like, who likes the idea of multiple sources of income? Hi to everyone who's just arrived, and hi over on Facebook. I can see you guys too. Who likes the idea of having money coming to them from different places? Yes, yeah. And the thing is when you start opening up to the idea of having multiple sources of income, it becomes much easier. So it's not just about going, okay, I need to find one way to make money, and then that way has to bring me in 6 figures a month that I want, or whatever it is that you want, right? You can go, okay, hold on, what if I have, 50K a month coming from this thing, this part, but then I also have these 3 other things going on, and they're all bringing me in 10K a month, but they require 10% of my attention. Right? This is how you get working smarter, not harder. This is how you expand into something that really has no limit. And this is what I teach. This is what I really enjoy teaching, especially, and I love you all the guys that are here, but especially for women. Because the thing is that most women when it comes to being financially abundant have learned this and mastered it, but the numbers are so small in comparison to the amount of men that are living in this way. And I'm not here to have kind of a women versus men debate, but I feel very strongly about it as a person who, you know, it's just so funny. I'll never forget the thing that shifted my perspective in all of this, which is really interesting, because I've had many experiences where I've been in senior leadership and it's mostly men, or, you know, and it's interesting in health, like even in health, that's predominantly female based industry, the senior leadership is predominantly, my experience has been, that has been predominantly male leadership. And it's like, how there's more women in this place than anywhere else. Anyway, that's a side note. But the place where it really, like, my aha moment was when I was flying in business class, and I looked around and I was like, there's one other woman in here. Why is that? How is that even possible? So there's maybe 30 seats and there's me and one other woman. Why? How is that possible? It's because we're still in the midst of this massive need for equality. But I think there's ways and things that we can do to absolutely assist it. One of them is empowering ourselves financially. I'm absolutely mad about it. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but it's a huge passion of mine. Okay. So if you're relying on one source of income to create abundance financially, it's quite limited. Yes, let's change it. Exactly right. So it's also really good to take note that there's another few components to the logical side of this, right? People who have financial freedom. So this is people that have enough money in their savings account. They're not in debt. I mean, I'm not talking about mortgages, but I'm talking about they're not living in debt. Okay. Because a mortgage can be an investment, right? Depending on how you see it and depending on what's going on with it, right? But I'm talking about the people that don't worry about money. They just live and they're living free. Okay. That's what we're really aiming here. They know where their money comes from and where it goes, or they have someone else that manages it for them. Okay. So they're not avoiding it. They're not burying their head in the sand. They're not thinking, oh, this is going to be fine. It'll just be fine next month. Okay. They have a whole different way of thinking about this. They're shining the light on it, becoming aware of it, and then owning it. Okay. So being in charge. They're conscious spenders. They know where it's going. Okay. They're not in this unconscious relationship with money. They've got a very conscious relationship with money. They invest. Okay. And I think I spoke about this on the Q&A last night about, if you aren't willing to invest and change the story, then it's always going to be the same. It's always going to be the same. So you have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to do that? And they welcome the conversation about money and and possible opportunities. It's really interesting having friends and being a person who feels this way, right, and lives this way. But, you know, when I hang out with my friends, and like, the conversations are just interesting because we talk about money and we talk about, you know, what we want to do, and we're not afraid to have conversations about luxurious, beautiful things that we want, or charities we're going to start, things like philanthropy that's part of our goals, right? So it's really interesting to see the evolution when you move away from people that are living in like a limitation into people that are living in abundance. The conversations are very fruitful. So these are a few things just to take note from a logical point of view, the how to, and you ask yourself, well, where am I at with this? You know, are these things that I'm actively doing? Do I actively have multiple sources of income? But no, maybe not, or maybe I do, but I want to take them to the next level. Well, that's part of why you're here, right? It's super exciting. Then the second part of this evolution and the how-to for this is really looking at the spiritual evolution. And I'd like to feed the logic for those of you who really love that side of you, because sometimes it stops you from, I don't know, feeling completely fulfilled. But when it comes to the results, it's such a tiny part in the equation. Okay. The how-to we can make happen, right? But this is where the actual real changes happen to create those permanent results. So this is your more deep spiritual evolution. It's that internal relationship evolution. It's that internal relationship that you have with money. And this is where, when you look at the people who are where you want to be, this is how they think and how they are internally, right? They know that there is something greater than themselves that orchestrates in direct harmony with the universal laws. Now, what I mean by this is, and I'm just touching on this today because we don't have a lot, and I mean, I could talk on this topic for probably the next 5 years and I'd still probably run out of time. But when you look at people and you examine and you spend time with people who live this lifestyle, they know there's something greater than our humanness, right? And when I talk about universal laws, there's the universal laws that are there all the time, the same way that gravity keeps us on this planet, okay? They're there all the time orchestrating, and you can either choose to be aware of them and live in harmony with it, or you can choose to not know about it, but you're still living with it. So these people, I think what they do is they kind of hack the universe and help the universe work with them, okay? They live with the end in mind. So they're not making decisions today based on what they currently can see as their results. They're going, okay, hold on, this is where I'm going. And because of that, this is a decision that I'm making today. They're focused at the end. They make decisions on where they're going. They hack the universe with understanding and application. They trust their gut and are committed to the ongoing evolution. They're integrated in how they see money. It isn't all or nothing. It's important, but time is spent doing other things too. And I think that's a really important piece of the equation. I'm helping you guys to create this integrated model. I'm not interested in you getting a new job that's got a promotion that's going to earn you an extra 50K a year that takes up your whole life. That's not of interest to me at all, because that doesn't actually fulfill my mission, which is to help people get to the end of their life without regret and with their potential fulfilled. That's really what we're talking about here. But we can't get you there if we don't get you to change the relationship that you have with money, because money is going to pay for the lifestyle that you want. And also a lot of you making decisions based on, can I afford it? But maybe it's all going to change now. Maybe this 3 days is the change, because you're going to start making decisions based on where you're going. Everything that you believe is true. So if you believe that the next decisions that you're going to make are going to change your life forever, they will. If you believe that having multiple sources of income is beneficial, then it is. If you believe that you can, then you can. If you don't believe yet, you can work on creating the belief. But belief has got a huge part of it. Do you believe in yourself? Now, when I started, like, I always remember whenever I started Sports Mindset, and I had a conversation with my dad, who I love dearly, but he's super sometimes practical. Does anyone else have a parent that's like that? Like, I think a lot of people do. It's like real logical, real practical, you know, tell me the facts and figures. And I remember calling him and I was like, you know, Dad, I'm starting this new thing. And he's like, what is it? And I'm like, I'm going to help people with their, I did not have a clue at the start. Like, I literally was like, all I knew was that my life had changed so much. Yeah, get a pensionable job, Dad, I know. But I had the pensionable job, and I'd moved from Ireland to Australia to pursue my career in palliative care, and I was there. I had about 12 weeks before I started Sports Mindset, I'd got like the dream job. But that was the pinnacle time, because then I got the job and I was like, oh my God, this isn't it. Like, and I've worked 10 years to get here, and this can't be it for the next 30 years. Like, I can't do this for the next 30 years. So I remember calling my dad and be like, okay. And my dad was really funny, because he's like, you know, he's always told me a few things. Like, when I chose to go into health, he's like, are you sure? You know, it's a hard life. And he had chosen a hard path too. So he was like, I'm not really sure. Like, you're going down a hard path. And I was like, yeah, no, I really want to help people. And I did it. And then I called him and I was like, I'm going to start this thing. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, no, I'm absolutely not sure. Like, there's no part of me that's sure. I hadn't got the belief, but I had this little undertone that was like, I'm not sure, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to work. That's how I felt. I was like, because I know that the world needs this. I know that there's people out there that feel how I felt, who felt stuck, who felt like they didn't know how to express themselves fully, that didn't know how to figure out what it is that they really wanted, that felt limited, that knew that there was so much more love in the world and so much more love they could have in their life, but they didn't know how to get there. And they also knew that They're worthy of living a good life, but they didn't know how to get there because they didn't have any role models that were exactly living the life that they wanted. So I was like, I know what I want to do. I don't know what it is. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there, right? Does anyone relate to that? Has anyone ever felt like that before? Can you guys chat and tell me? Is it just me? I don't think it is. So you don't really know. You may not have the strongest belief. Yeah. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. Yeah, it's exactly how I feel. It's amazing. So this is what I wanted to explain to you guys a bit about for your evolution, okay? There's 4 different stages to how you're evolving and the expansion of your understanding. And this will feed both sides of you, your logic and intuitiveness, right? But I want to start to help you understand this, because as you understand this in more detail, you're going to realize that there's different stages and where you're at each stage, but knowing that there's expansion. So we're going to start off with the unconscious incompetent, okay? This is when you don't know what they don't know. So for example, it's when people say ignorance is bliss. It's like before you came on this call, maybe you never heard of multiple sources of income before. Maybe before you went through this 3-day process with me, you weren't fully aware of, oh, okay, hold on, if I change the inside, the outside's going to change. But then suddenly what happens is your eyes open up to it and you realize, okay, maybe that's a new way of looking at something. So you become consciously incompetent at that point, right? And I know these words are a bit like black and white, but just roll with it for a second. So you recognize at this stage, right? But you don't exactly know how. So you're like, oh, this resonates with me. You're becoming conscious of your incompetency, to be perfectly honest. You're conscious that there's gaps, right? But you're not really sure how to change it. Then what happens, the next phase is you become consciously competent, right? So this means what happens at this point is you become aware of how. You understand how to change the intergenerational paradigms. You become aware of how to change your beliefs. You become aware of how to set up multiple sources of income. You become aware of how to set a really clear vision, right? But it takes concentration and takes a lot of efforting at this point. So you're like, you really have to try. Like, it's like when you're trying to change a piece, let's say, for example, on boundaries, how to set healthy boundaries. At the start, there's a lot of conscious effort. Like, I'm going to go to this party, but I know I want to leave at this point because I want to be fresh for the next day. At the start, your friends are like, but you always stay to the end of the party. And you're like, yeah, I know, but I'm trying to change, right? At the start, it's like, I really have to leave the party right now, even though I don't really want to. So at the start, that's how it feels. I'm just picking an example. At this point, you're consciously becoming confident. So you leave the party and you go home. You're like, okay, great. Well done. Pat on the back. I'm changing the habit, right? The more that you get into understanding, expanding your awareness, deep diving into the fundamentals, having an effective education, getting coached, you move over into the space of unconscious competency, which is where it now is second nature. That the new upgrade is who you are and how you are. So the execution becomes second nature, right? Now, the thing is that even when you get to this place, which is really called mastery of that particular thing that you're working on, there's always going to be a new level, because what will happen is at that point, you will become aware. It's like, for example, when I said to myself, oh, if I could just replace my income with my business, I'd be happy. And like, I mean, I don't put my happiness on my financial situation, but I was like, that would be sufficient. Like, if I could earn. And then you get there and then you realize, oh, hold on, no, I need to earn that a month. And then you get to that and then you think, no, I need to like really start looking at. So your evolution keeps going and the cycle keeps going. So you kind of, so let's say, for example, when I earned the first 90K in the business, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is great. But now what if I want to earn 100K a month? You then become an unconscious incompetent again, because you're like, I don't really know how to do that. And the cycle begins. And this is why it doesn't matter where you are at your stage of evolution, there's always opportunity for growth. But also there's hope, that everything that you're working towards and the efforting that it takes at times will eventually become unconscious competency, and it will become the new you. All you have to do is keep showing up, keep looking at your investments, keep stretching yourself with your decision making, and know that eventually someday what you're seeking will become your reality. Does that make sense? You guys following along with this one? Yeah, I love that description because it makes it really easy rather than trying to think of like, where am I like, there'll be parts of your life where you're in your unconscious incompetent, and there'll be parts of your life where you're unconscious competent, okay, and everything in between. So it's not really about like deciding, it's just about going, okay, hold on, there's an evolution that's going to happen, right? The first step to change is an evolution in our understanding, okay? Who's had a light bulb moment over the last 3 days? Can you comment and tell me? At least one light bulb moment. Maybe if you're on Facebook. Hi, Catherine and Zoe and Ellie. It's great to have you guys over there. Who's had a light bulb moment? I've had about 50. Woohoo! That's great. Who's had a light bulb moment? What is a light bulb moment? A light bulb moment is when you hear something and then you're like, oh, now I see. I get it. Like, I see now, it's expansive. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. You can control your own money story. You can create it. Right. So your expansion and evolution happens through these light bulb moments, through your expansion of understanding. And with a light bulb moment is like the first glimmer of an evolution, but it's like, it's what we do with that then. Okay. And it's not always about trying to grab it and hold it, like trying to grab water. Sometimes it's often about just this kind of like, I'm catching this. Then we make decisions based on the newfound insight. Okay. There's one key thing that is the main reason why you won't bring your inspirations alive. So I was kind of getting to the end of these 3 days and I was like, oh, will I talk about this? Will I not? And then I'm like, do you know what? I'll be doing you a complete disservice if I don't, because this is the number one reason why, and I love you all dearly, the majority of you are never going to get to the places that you really want to be. And I mean that with all due respect, but there's a reason why, you know, less than 5% of the population live this way. There's a reason. So I'm going to explain to you why, exactly why. Okay. Now, the thing is, you get to decide where you're going to be. So it's not like, oh my God, Mairead's saying that 95% of us are not going to be there. Yeah, but choose to be in the 5%. What if you're all in the 5%? The ones that showed up and are actually watching back to this. You get to choose. And this is where the decision is going to come in. Fear. Fear is the number one killer of all dreams. The absolute number one killer. It's the number one killer of change. It's the number one killer of why you're not experiencing the amount of love that you want to experience in your life. Fear is controlling the outcomes for more of you than I think even are aware. But also it's misinterpretation. Like everything in life, it's got good and it's got bad. And I don't really like those words, but it makes it real black and white for you guys, right? Because fear actually keeps you safe. It's a constructed version often that's been made to keep you safe, to help you fit in, and for you to help you feel comfortable, right? So what fear does is it's that fight and flight, right? It gets your body to release hormones that make you respond in a way that pulls you back into your safety net. Okay. It was created initially to keep us safe from like lions and tigers and bears, right? To help us run. So when we're triggered, we have the adrenaline rush to run away, right? But the evolution of that hasn't really happened as we've evolved and become, you know, somewhat safer in our world. So what we have to realize is that our body is still programmed to respond to change the way it is programmed to respond to when we see a lion in the wild. So what does that mean? It means as you go to step out and change, as you go to make new decisions, as you go to make whatever it is that you feel intuitively guided to do, fear comes. like a tsunami and starts telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't, starts sometimes talking you out of the one thing that you know you really want to do. And exactly what it does is it pulls you back into safety. Has anyone experienced this before? Where you know, you want to do something, like if you think about it, I'll tell you something I hear a lot about, people saying to me, yeah, too often, people say to me things like, oh my God, you're so brave that you go on Instagram stories, right? Just a little example. And I'm like, oh, it's not brave. I think sometimes it's stupid, but I'm joking. That's not true. It is brave, actually. It's very brave. And I still feel fear all the time. But I have something greater that I'm moving towards, right? So how many times have you not done something? Like how many times have you not said something to somebody because you're like, oh God, maybe I'll hurt their feelings, or what if they don't feel the same way about me? And it's funny, I've been watching First Dates. I love dating shows. Anyone who knows me knows I'm absolutely romantic, and I absolutely love anything that's to do with love it all. And I've been watching First Dates Australia, but I actually got into First Dates because I watched First Dates Ireland because my friend was on it and she got engaged to the guy that she met on First Dates, just FYI. But First Dates Australia, I was watching it last night, and it's so funny when they come to the end, when they have to decide, you want to go on a second date, and they're both sitting there and it's like, would you guys like to go on a second date? And then everyone's like, because the fear of being rejected, like the fear of being the first person to say it. And you see it all the time where someone's like, yeah, I'd love to go on a second date. And the other person's like, no, I didn't really feel like it. They always say the same thing. There wasn't really a spark. And I'm like, oh, anyway, it's so funny. I get so into it when I watch that show. I'm like, oh my God, it was just missing it. There's missing so much opportunities because there's so much good in it. But anyway, I digress. But fear, like people don't even say yes to a second date sometimes because they're fearful. Like they're missing out on all this of life, living, because fear. But to get a different outcome in your life, you have to understand the role fear has in it, in preventing you from doing exactly what you need to do in order to get to where you want to be. Like when has fear talked you out of doing something? Like I've often talked to people and they're like, oh my God, you went to Australia. I've always really wanted to do that, but I was too afraid. It seems so far away, and I'm like, it's living its life. So the thing with fear that you have to understand is your freedom is on the other side of moving through the fear. If you keep letting fear control and pull you back into safety, you're going to keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over and over again. If you're waiting for it to feel comfortable, best of luck with that. It's not going to be, because your growth is moving through the fear. That's how you grow, moving through the fear. We've been completely misinformed about how to live our life. We've been told in one hand, fear keeps us safe, but it doesn't. Safe doing what? Safe doing the same thing over and over again. Is that living? Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, take your hand out of the flame. Thank you for keeping me safe in that way. But the majority of you, that's not the kind of fear we're talking about. We're talking about the fear of being yourself. We're talking about the fear of what people will think of you. We're talking about the fear of investing in yourself. We're talking about the fear of taking your goals and your future seriously. What would you do if you 100% knew you were going to be successful? What would you do if you 100% knew you were going to be successful? Really think about that. What comes to mind? What would you do? You're 100% going to be successful, okay? In what it is that you're going to do. What would you do? Who would quit their job? Who would ask somebody out? Who would walk away from a relationship? Who would start the business? Who would quit the day job? Natasha. What else? What would you do if you 100% knew you're going to be successful? Quit the day job. Can you see the power of this? It's absolutely huge. It's absolutely huge. So for those of you who are feeling committed to creating freedom of expression and a bank account and funds to fund it. Sorry, I've got too many screens open. Like I've got the chat and your face is over here. Well done on making the decision. Like seriously, well done. Because the decision is the first part. And then you realize I'm probably going to experience fear. But if you can put that fear aside and you can just keep focused on where you're going, the sky's the limit. Okay. And the committed decision is absolutely key. So for those of you who have enjoyed these 3 days and want to continue on this path of understanding how to bloom authentically and thrive financially with me, here is your opportunity. This is our launch of my 8-week program that's going to continue everything that you've learned, but this is only the icing on the cake. This is 3 days. So imagine what it would be like if we go through this over an 8-week period. Bloom Authentically and Thrive Financially, our immersive program. And I think that it's one of a kind. I've been through a lot of trainings over my years, and people will focus on money, or people will focus on authentic self-expression or blooming authentically, but there's not many people that are focusing on both. And I don't think that you need to sacrifice. So if you're feeling drawn to this, I'm going to give you some details. So what to expect. I want you to come expecting to change your life forever and upgrade significantly. So I'm really interested in people that are like, I don't really know how, I'm a bit scared, but I really am committed to it. That's the attitude you want to come with. This is your next evolution. A fresh approach, breaking down what I've done in more detail. So that's another part of what I'm really interested in teaching you guys, is not just like from theory, from what people have said, but what I've actually applied to be able to create this kind of lifestyle for myself. As I mentioned, 8 weeks that I'll be by your side, absolutely by your side, taking you through. We'll have weekly 16-minute education sessions for those of you who want to know a bit more detail, going deeper and strengthening your understanding. I'm going to be breaking down the logical and the science and the spiritual aspects of this, okay? There'll be an available one-to-one session with me twice over the program for each one of you that come and do this with me, and a customized community of people that are in your corner doing this with you from the start to the end. And we're going to create some really cool dynamics within that community to help support you through your journey. And you'll also get your welcome pack, hand-selected welcome pack in the post from me. So the program is going to commence on the week of October the 11th. And I have something excited for those of you who are here live, you guys, because you're here for the launch. This is what it looks like. So the investment for the program is $3,959. That includes GST. For those of you who are here on this program, on 3-day masterclass, you get $500 off, okay, just for being here. This is completely like only going to be available. First of all, the program is only going to be at this price for this time. It's never going to be this cheap ever again. The $500 is only if you act in the next 48 hours. So it ends on Sunday. Okay. Also, what I'm throwing in, because you're here, is a program that I've created in the past, which I think is like the fundamentals. So this is the Path to Plenty Business Builders program that I've created. It's valued at $799. It's going in on top of the package that you'll have access to throughout the whole time. I should also mention that we'll have 8 weeks together, but you'll have access to the content until the end of this year. Okay. So if you're ready to do this and you're a brand new client of mine, that's your offer. If you're a current alumni member, you get the program for 50%. I just can't tell you how grateful I am for our community. What you guys do, and I feel like I'm going to get emotional. You've stood by me, and it's just fabulous. Excuse me. You're just so wonderful. So I wanted to give you something really special. I love you all. Okay, so how do you get signed up? I did not expect that, but here we are. Go to your emails. Email Maddie, who's here. Maddie can wave. Hi, Maddie. And write Maddie an email saying that you're in. This will change your life forever. And I think that's probably why I feel so emotional about it, is there's so much that goes into this that I know from the feedback that we get that it changes people's lives. And I just want it for all of you. Oh, Lordy. I think I'm getting my period tomorrow. Can you tell? Oh, Lord. Okay. So let's just clarify. You're all doing it. It's going to be amazing. I'm so proud of you all. We're only going to have 30 people in this program because I want to keep it intimate, and I just can't wait. I just cannot wait. So trust yourself. If you feel like you want to go on this journey, you want me to show you, and you want to be part of something pretty special, here you go. It doesn't have to end here, which is super exciting. Thank you for all the love. I know you guys are amazing. Thank you. Make the decision based on where you're going, and I'll help you. So it's like you just get to decide what it is that you want to go with this, and I'll show you how to do it. That's basically how I want you to approach this. I'm here to create a community and a world that is the new idea heroes, the change makers. That's what this is about. We can collectively do a lot. And this is the theme for our 3 days. Wanting more is a sign of growth. It means you're no longer willing to play small. It means you're stepping out to be unapologetic about your desires. It means you're ready to rise up and welcome the greatness of who you are. Be the change you want to see in the world. And the sincerest thank you for all of you who've shown up, who've given me your attention, who've done the work. This stuff isn't the easiest thing to do. It's simple, but it's not easy. And you've just been amazing. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you've brought and for your ongoing support. And I can't wait to work with you, those of you who make the decision and act on it. Go open your emails, hello@spritzmindset.com. I'm in is all you have to do. Send us that email and we'll send you back the link and your discount code. And that's it. You're in. Have a great day. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it so much. You're amazing. And we'll talk soon. Bye for now. See you.